Welcome to Sports Talk with RKJ. I'm your host, Steve Risser, along with my co-hosts, Justin D'Onofrio and Kyle Galuli. And the ALCS is in progress, and the Yankees, after yesterday's game, Garrett Cole was outstanding, went 7 innings, didn't give up a run. They trailed 2-1 to the Houston Astros in the ALCS. And if you look at this series so far, I mean, the Yankees winning game 1, Gleyber Torres was outstanding, had 2 home runs, had 5 RBIs, he had 3 hits and 5 RBIs in the game. The Yankees won that game 7-0. Tanaka was outstanding as well. Go to game 2, it looked like they had the series because Darren Judge hit that home run, put up 2-1 in the 5th inning, but then Ottavino gives up a home run to George Springer, and then the game goes 11 innings, and then Correa hits a game-winning home run, and that ties the series. And then yesterday, Altuve started the game hitting a home run. Reddick had a home run, and then it was a 2-0 game till the 7th, and then the Astros got 2 runs in the 7th inning. Torres had a home run, but that didn't end up mattering, and the Astros are now leading the series 2-1. And the big thing for the Yankees right now is game 4 is a must-win, no matter, if they play it today or tomorrow, and I think there's a very good chance they're going to play it tomorrow because the weather in New York is absolutely terrible today, so I think they're going to play it tomorrow. And I think that in a way, if they do play it, if it doesn't get rained out, it is, and a lot of people think it's an advantage for the Astros. I think it's an advantage for the Yankees, and here's why. I think that the Yankees could have lost tonight's game and would have been down 3-1. If they win tomorrow, if they play tomorrow and win, they're 2-2, and then they're at home. And then you don't know you really don't know what the Astros plan in terms of pitching is. Are they going to pitch Zach Greinke? Because they're going to pitch Verlander in Game 5. We know that. But what are they going to do tomorrow? Are they going to pitch Greinke, or are they going to have a bullpen game? Are they going to save Greinke for Game 6? Do they know they're going back to Houston, or are they going to have a bullpen game? That's the big question for the Houston Astros. But I do think, in a way, that even though the Astros have the better starting pitching, if there is a rain out tonight, I think it's a little bit of an advantage for the Yankees because it's an advantage for the Yankees because there's a better chance that they're going to even the series than be down 3-1. Like if they play tonight, I think their chance of winning aren't as good as if they played tomorrow. So that's why I think it's kind of the rain out is kind of an advantage for the Yankees.
Yeah, I kind of see the rain out as an advantage for the Yankees because I've been loving the way Green pitches, and Green's been our opener for most of the opener games that we do. But with him pitching the last 2 games, I don't know how long he go tonight, and now you can use Tanaka in that huge situation. And in pretty much the series, I kind of put some of it on Boone, a lot of the pitching decisions, pulling Green in Game 2, then Ottavino gives up the first pitch home run to Springer. And then also with Giancarlo Stanton, you're paying the guy $28 million. He said he can hit. Play him DH for Encarnacion.
Or Encarnacion or Hicks. Come on now. Exactly, yeah.
And
or even Gardner, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, doesn't he have hit 300 off Cole or something like that?
He's actually been pretty good.
Yeah, so it's against probably the Cy Young Award winner, if not 2.
Yeah.
A 300 average.
I don't know.
And what, 28 million per year roughly, whatever it is?
Something like that.
So it's just a ton of money, good history, and he can sit on bench.
And
his injury must be that bad.
He said he could hit though.
Yeah.
So if he can hit, play him DH. And then you're sitting Gardner at the 3 hole, and you have Gleyber at 5th. Some of these some of the lineup decisions are. I'm just questioning Boone here. They're not. It just. I don't understand kind of some of the moves he makes.
Yeah, Gardner did have, I believe it was 28 home runs, which is easily his career high, but that's regular season.
Yeah, and I like
that's
him.
with juiced
and
balls.
I think he's a better hitter when he's in the bottom of the line because he sees more fastballs, and he's a much better fastball hitter than he is on the breaking ball. So it's let the guy bat 8th or 9th. I'm fine with Gardner being in the lineup, but bat him 8th or 9th. Bat him in a position where he's going to see fastballs. A 3-hole. Because we had first, second, nobody out in that first inning yesterday. And it looked like, okay, here we go. We can get a run or two.
And then, Gardner kills the rally. That's the problem with him hitting in the 3-hole. There's no way Gardner should be hitting in the 3-hole.
There's not. For bat him 8th or 9th. It's just some of these decisions Boone has made. It's just going back to last year's playoffs where he didn't make good moves then, and it seems like he really has it now.
And I remember in the Twin Series, I texted Joe, and I'm like, there's no way Gardner should be hitting 3rd. He agreed with that.
Yeah, I don't, I haven't agreed with it all year. It just doesn't make any sense. And I know you got away with the Twins because now I'm starting to quite see that the Twins probably are not as good as everybody thought. Because Yankees
Twins were overrated. Yeah,
they were.
And they ran into their bad matchup, which was the Yankees.
Yeah, and it's been a very tough series for the Yankees. The last 2 games, it looked like you had all the advantage in the world. And the thing is, you had to beat Verlander and Cole at least once because you're going to see them both twice. So you had a chance Sunday night to steal one. Then you had your chances yesterday, and you just could not take advantage. It's just frustrating to watch. And it looks like last year's team with guys on base. They're just all trying to kill the ball. It's just shorten up. I don't care if you get hit at a sac fly, but not everything's got to be a home run. It just kind of seems like they're just swinging for the fences. They're just looking for that one big bomb.
Yeah. I mean, because you're looking at the lineup for Game 3, and when DJ LeMahieu, fine with that. Aaron Judge second, I'm fine with that. Brent Gardner third, no. Encarnacion, okay, but like he hasn't been giving us the most. Glaber at 5, I'm fine. Honestly, move him to third.
Yes.
And look what happened in Game 1 at third. He had a great game.
Yeah.
It's like he's been one of the best players for the Yankees in the postseason. Then Didi, at 6, and then it's like then Sanchez, Urshela, Hicks. It's like play Gardner at the bottom because it's like okay, because if you're just looking at that and just thinking off of pure power and just in just terms of people being the best possible hitters, would you rather pitch to DJ LeMahieu, Aaron Judge, Edward Encarnacion, Gleyber Torres, or Brent Gardner?
Do you want Brent Gardner all day of the week?
Yeah, Brett Gardner. Easily Brett Gardner, yeah.
Yeah. It's like Brent Gardner's either 4th or 5th, people that you would want, up hitting. And it's just he's good. And he's one of those guys that he's going to be probably in Monument Park because he's a lifetime Yankee. And people love that guy. He's been there since the get-go. But let's be honest, he's 28 home runs. That's because
the juice balls.
Yeah, it's because of juice balls. That's what's happening. Which I'm kind of leaning towards that now, especially after this year. It's like Brent Gardner. He's not that kind of guy. He's more of the I would say 15 home runs, maybe 20.
Yeah.
Getting hopefully on base, good amount to steal and wreak havoc on the base path. He's not a 28 home run guy. That's not him.
He had 95 career home runs in the year, so he hit a third of that in 12 years. He hit almost a third of that, 30 almost.
So it's just and at this point, you had a golden ticket to the World Series in Game 2. You just destroyed that. And now in Game 3 against Garrett Cole, who obviously is going to be the Cy Young Award winner, or right there second next to Verlander. I mean, the guy gave up 4 hits and 5 runs. If I'm not mistaken, didn't they have 2 runners on in the first 4 innings?
You mean 5 walks?
Yeah, 5 walks. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
and
4 hits.
He had a bases loaded opportunity too.
Yeah, so it's you had runners on against Garrett Cole, and you just refused to do anything about it.
You could talk about opportunities though, but the biggest difference in this game and what's been the difference in the series has been Houston starting pitching. You look at Game 2, Paxton can't even get out of the 3rd inning. Even yesterday, Severino pitched quote unquote well, but he didn't even get out of the 5th inning. And look at Cole. He pitched 7 shutout innings. So the Astros definitely have the better starting pitching. You want to talk about the offense. When it gets to the playoffs, this is about starting pitching. Look at the Washington Nationals. Their starting pitching has been outstanding in the playoffs, and they're going to the World Series. This is about starting pitching. And right now, the Houston Astros have better starting pitching, and that's why they're leading the series. You can overanalyze at bats all you want, but the number one reason why the Astros are leading this series is because of their starting pitching. And that was the reason the Yankees got knocked out of the playoffs by the Red Sox last year, was because of their starting pitching. When it gets to the playoffs, starting pitching matters, and people need to value starting pitching more.
They do. And yeah, Severino wasn't bad, but the problem is when you're facing a guy like Garrett Cole, you could not take 2 innings to settle in a game. He threw 60 pitches in 2 innings. You can't do that. He got in a rhythm.
Yeah, wasn't it 30 plus just in the first?
Yeah, you cannot settle in a guy against Cole because when they went down 1-0, it already kind of feels like you're down 4-5-0 with Garrett Cole in the mound.
Yeah, because you're taking 2 innings to settle in. Garrett Cole's taking a pitch to settle in. Mm-hmm. And game 2, I think that they're just sometimes the Yankees get too bullpen happy. in game 2 because, I mean, Paxton didn't get out of the third, but at the same point, like, he wasn't doing terrible. It's just the fact of you're going against Verlander and they were down 1-0 right at that point, and it was second and first. I think they were just too scared to go down a possibility of 2-3-0, and now you're facing a 2-3-0 deficit against Verlander. It's like, I feel like maybe sometimes they need to show a little bit of faith in, like, okay, exactly. I have confidence. And I feel like they don't show that. It's just like anytime you come to first sight of, adversity, they're like, pull him out. Bullpen guy, come in.
Yeah, you traded Justice Sheffield for James Paxton. Yeah. You should have confidence that he can get out of a jam in the third inning of a playoff game.
And plus, that's why was hot in the last
2 months, pretty much.
Yeah, 2 months of the year.
He wasn't that good against the Twins. That was the problem. Yeah. But in his first postseason start. But you go out and trade Justice Sheffield for James Paxton. You got to have James. You got to be able to be able to think that James Paxton can be able to get out of the inning, not take him out before, not have him pitch not have him not get out of the third inning. You got to be able to trust James Paxton there, and that's a problem because that ends up burning out your bullpen. I mean and it ends up hurting the number one strength of your team. That's your bullpen.
And then even on Saturday night, Tanaka could have gone 1 or 2. He's the only starter right now that I actually trust on the mound as the Yankees starter against this Astros rotation. Because let's be honest, the Astros rotation blows the Yankees away.
Yeah, I think I saw it was a graphic that someone had where I think Tanaka has the third lowest ERA in postseason history.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's been great.
I think the only one I can remember on the list that was lower than his was Sandy Koufax.
And that's why I say, and I'm going to say this, that's why if there's a rainout, I think the Yankees have the advantage because of the fact if Tanaka pitches well, of the fact Tanaka's going to be able to start Thursday night. Tanaka's going to be able to start in game 4 instead of being down 3-1 and having Tanaka start. You're 2-1, and then if Tanaka wins, you're 2-2, and then you're playing a game 5 at home, and say you beat Verlander, and say the Astros pitch Greinke, who are the Astros going to pitch in game 6? You don't even know who they're going to pitch in game 6.
Yeah. Maybe it's probably going to be
They're probably going to pitch Cole in short rest. Yeah, that's the thing.
And the thing is, with game 2, after they pulled Paxton, they use 8 people out of the bullpen, and 2 of them being, traditionally being starting pitchers was CC and J.A. Happ. So it's like you're using so much of your bullpen, and it's just like, why trust James Paxton? You trade a guy who. Do you guys remember roughly how high Sheffield was rated?
One of the top prospects.
Yeah, I know he was up there. Like, he was way up there. So it's like you trade that guy. You're not trading him for a guy that you're thinking is going to be like a second pitcher, third pitcher. You're thinking you're going to get a guy that's an ace level talent. If you trade a guy that you believe is an ace level talent, you don't let him go 2 1/3 inning. You think last night when Garrett Cole got a couple runners on, the Astros were thinking, "No, yeah, we need to pull him." They're like, "No, keep going. You're Garrett Cole, fool."
Yeah.
Like, that's when it's just it's like sometimes they get too heavy into the bullpen, like believe in the starting pitching, because if you show that they believe it, then that's gonna boost up confidence, and that's what you need in postseason time, especially when you're going against the Astros.
And I think it's two of what happened last year for Boone, that he's afraid to get down 3-4-0, and then I think that's because that's what happened kind of last year. Even though he stuck Severino in there and got him absolutely shelled to 6, 7, 8 runs, So I think maybe he's somewhat a little nervous of getting games out of hand.
Yeah, and the thing was when he managed game 2 by taking Paxton out like he was down 0-1, not up 0-1. When you're up 0-1, you can't. I don't think you can manage that way. You can't manage like you're down 0-1. You got to manage like you're up 0-1. You got to have faith in James Paxton. You can't take him out that early. That definitely was a mistake by Aaron Boone. And the other mistake was batting Brett Gardner third in that lineup. There's no way Brett Gardner should be hitting third when you have guys like Gleyber Torres and even Gary Sanchez isn't hitting, but you also have Gary Sanchez in that lineup too. So you cannot be hitting. Yeah. You cannot be hitting Brett Gardner third. That's inexcusable.
Because Sanchez hasn't been the bat, but he's an opposing figure. Like Cole's okay. I got Gary Sanchez. I can't make a mistake. Cole's going up there and Gardner okay, it's just like a joke batting 3.
Garrett Cole feels like I could probably throw 3 fastballs down the middle, and Gardner's not gonna do a single thing with it. Because that's the problem I've always had with Gardner. There could be a meatball down the middle that he should crush for a home run, and he just slaps at it too much. It's just like, I understand you trying to get a hit. Like, you don't have to try to launch it 450 because that's just not Brett Gardner's game. Brett Gardner's game's contact, getting on the bases, using his speed. But just stop going at the ball. Like, just put something into it. Like, just choke up on the bat a little bit, get good contact on it. Like, that's just the issue I have with him. Is just like, it's frustrating. It just really is.
Yes, but the series is far from over. I mean, it probably won't resume tonight. It'll probably resume back again on Thursday with Tanaka on the mound. And I still think this series, I picked the Astros in 7, and I still, if there is a rain, I still think it's going to be Astros in 7. But I mean, this is still going to be a really good series. You can't get down as a Yankee fan losing to the Astros' 2 best pitchers and 2 of the best pitchers in baseball this year. It's a long series to go, and the Yankees still have a really good chance to win this series.
The last thing I'll say is that you need to win both of these games in Yankee Stadium. If you don't win both of these games in Yankee Stadium, wave goodbye to the series.
You never know. You never know.
You're not. I'm not willing to like. I mean, I'm like, whether I'm a fan of whatever team, I'm ready to die with the team. But if you have asked me to put money on and they lose another game in Yankee Stadium, this has to go back to Houston 3-2 Astros. I'm not willing to put money on it. I don't care what it is, because you got one game. I'm like, fine. You got one game out of Houston, the first 2. I'm fine with that. Just need to get at least 2 out of 3 here. And then that was the issue blowing game 2. Was that at that point, all the Astros needed to think was, all we need is 1 out of 3 games in Yankee Stadium. We go back home.
Yeah, and that was something in 2017 where the home team won every game in that series, and the Yankees had to win 1 game in Houston. They did, but then they just returned the favor in game 3. So, yeah, it's tough.
It's like we get all the momentum at their game. Oh, Houston, here's back.
Yep.
Frustrating.
Gotcha. So we'll talk a little bit more baseball later on in the show. We'll talk about the NLC. The Nationals going to the World Series and the NLCS later on in the show. But we got to get to the NFL. It was a big day in the NFL yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And one huge trade, and it finally happened. Jalen Ramsey was traded from the Jaguars to the Rams for 2 first-round picks. The Jags are getting the Rams' first-round pick in 2020 and 2021, and I think they're getting a 4th-round pick in 2020 as well. So I mean, this is a move. I think the Rams are pretty desperate making this move. I mean,
it'll be 5 straight years they won't have a 1st-round pick.
That's crazy.
Well, after these 2 years in the Ramsey trade.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. And the thing is I like the trade because they have to get better, obviously. But the problem is you're mortgaging your future for this one season, which does not look like a season. The way the Rams are playing, where they're going to return to the Super Bowl.
Not only that, NFC's loaded.
It's loaded. I mean, you got teams like the Niners, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Bears, the Vikings, even the Eagles.
It runs like 8-9 deep.
Yeah, the NFC's loaded. AFC. There's still, even with getting Jalen Ramsey, there's a very, very good chance the Rams will miss the playoffs. So I mean, this defense, this definitely improves their defense. It won't improve their offensive line, which has been absolutely terrible, and it won't improve their running game, which has really, really struggled this year too. So I mean, yes, Ramsey got his wish. He got out of Jacksonville. We'll see how he takes advantage of that with the Rams.
Yeah, and before I say anything about that, there's a couple reasons why I don't like the NBA, and one of those issues is players complain about wanting to be traded. I don't want this to turn into the NBA because I so dislike when players do that and they just cry for a trade.
Yeah, like the instant their team is bad. Like they'll sign a 5-year deal and then they think, oh, this team's gonna be really good. Halfway through the first season, they're like, I made a mistake. Get me out.
And I know you're trying to play for a championship and all that, and I know you want to go play for a championship, but the thing is, it's like, well, you're still making millions of dollars, we'll try to find a way to get some wins or something, So I don't want this to turn into the NBA because it's just going to, it's going to make me less
it's going to ruin it. Yeah.
And it's going to hurt the league, I think, maybe a little bit. But, for the Rams. And it makes sense now why they traded Marcus Peters, too, because it was weird at first why they traded for Kenny Young, a guy I've never heard of. And it makes sense, but the Rams defense isn't the only problem. Their offense has really struggled the last 2 weeks too. Goff hasn't been great really all season. I know Gurley's still banged up, so I think it helps their defense a little bit because their defense has been bad. When you give Jameis Winston over 50 points, you didn't play very well. You played pretty poorly, but it's something it's gonna help a little bit, but I don't know how much it's gonna help. And I'm kind of disappointed because I have Julio this week for fantasy, but now
how much is he gonna play though?
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of hoping he doesn't play a lot, but
yeah, because I did see something that they said because they asked, I'm remembering like Peter King or Adams or someone like that. They asked him, was his back injury real or was that just something that was being made up? And he said he legitimately went to see a back specialist. So it wasn't completely made up, but he probably could have played through it, which, you know, a lot of NFL players, they play through injuries because that's just the nature of the game. I think the reason why they traded Peters was one, they probably had this trade for Ramsey on the horizon. They knew what was going to happen. They just had to work out the fine details. But they did need a linebacker because they've been kind of, you know, riddled with injuries pretty much. So you need a body even. So at least you got that. And Peters, let's be honest, Peters ain't the guy anymore. Like when they originally got him, people were like, whoa, him and Talib, that's nice. The problem is with Peters, the way I look at it is I looked at it like he has the mindset, it seems like, of a, like, so stick with me for a second with this. He has the mindset of Asante Samuel in terms of, okay, I think this route's gonna, you know, if they're doing this route, I'm gonna jump it. The problem is he always guesses wrong every single time. There's not a time this guy guesses right. And with that team whose defense, it's like, okay, you have Aaron Donald. After that, who else do you have? Like that's a good player. I mean, Eric Weddle, he's on like you can tell he's on his last leg. What, Dante Fowler? Okay, cool. Like Sue ain't there anymore. So I don't, really sure. So I'm fine with them getting rid of Peters and getting Ramsey. The problem is, I have a problem with the price they paid for Ramsey because this is my rule with trading 2 first-round picks. If it's for a quarterback, I'm fine with that. That's the most important position in the NFL. The only other way I'm fine with it is if you're one player away from a Super Bowl. Like, let's say if this was the Chiefs, they trade 2 first, I can live with that because you need defense desperately. Problem is, they're not. What are the Rams going to do? Maybe make the wild card at this point? Even if they make the wild card, let's be honest, they ain't making noise. And having a corner isn't going to help that just god-awful O-line. That is just terrible. And the problem with that is the run game's been an issue because of Gurley's injuries and of the O-line. And this pass game is so predicated on having a good run game. Because there's certain pass games in the NFL, I feel like, just on top of my head, like Patriots and the Chiefs, that can sustain a good pass game with no run game.
The Rams can't do that at all.
Yeah. The Rams can't. They need a good run game to have a good pass game. That's non-existent. So how are you going to get a better O-line now? That's my question. Because you're paying Donald, you're paying Gurley, you're paying Goff. Cooks is getting a decent chunk of change, and now you're going to have to pay Ramsey. So free agency is not going to be the move unless you just cut everyone on your roster, which good luck with that. So that's out of the picture. And what are you going to do? Draft it in the 2nd or 3rd round now?
You're going to have to.
That's like you're going to have to. That's the only thing you're going to do that. And their drafts haven't been terribly great.
No.
Like remember they drafted Gerald Everett in the 1st round.
He's having a better year though this year.
Like he's having decent. It's like maybe he's finally showing something, but it's like who have they drafted since Donald that has been a good player? Like I think right now the book's out.
They drafted Gurley after they drafted Donald.
Okay, well at least Gurley. So ever since Gurley, well, like what do they got? Like Goff is like I think we're still looking at Goff. What am I getting? So it's like. I don't know.
He's not a terrible quarterback.
Yeah,
he's
not
got
terrible.
them to a Super Bowl last year. I mean, and he drove them down the field to tie the game in the NFC Championship. But yes, he's very
in this year.
He's very reliant on play action. I'll give you that.
Well, and not even play action. It's just the fact of, I mean, if your head coach tells you, okay, we're doing this play, and this guy will be open, throw it to this guy. Like if you're facing good defensive coaches, they're gonna know kind of what your game plan is. So they know, okay, they're probably going to run this route, guard it. And then if he's not open, like he's not good at making like that 2nd, 3rd read. Okay, the first guy's not open, go to this guy. That's the issue I have. So it's like right now with the Rams, you needed a corner. Cool. Because Talib's now on IR too. So what, your next corner's what, Nickel Roby Holman? Cool. Okay. Nice. Good luck with that. Problem is you paid way, way, way too much. But hey, it's the Rams. So do whatever you want, I guess. They're going to Hollywood.
Yes. And the Rams made another move yesterday. They traded Marcus Peters to the Ravens, and I think this definitely will improve the Ravens secondary. You don't know how much. I still don't think they're as good as the Pats, the Chiefs, and the Texans, but they are right now the best team in the North, and they want to make a move to compete with those three teams. When you're playing Deshaun Watson, you're playing Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. Yes, you need good pass rushers, but also you need good corners, and they made this move to address that need.
Yeah, it's another good move. They didn't, and a guy like Kenny Young, who only has, I think, like 11 tackles this year, so you didn't give up a ton either, You still got a guy that, Kyle was saying, not as good as, he hasn't been as good the last couple of years as, everyone thought. But, he still has his potential. He's still a younger guy, too. So, he could really help the secondary out, really help this defense out. And because the Ravens did, Lamar's been playing well, and with all the injuries the Steelers have and the Browns who haven't lived up to any potential, it looks like, they could really kind of get to some separation in the AFC North right now.
For the Ravens, I can understand it because, like you said, if you're not giving up a ton, to get him, and like the potential's there for him to be good, it's just, can you wrangle that in and tell him, like, just stop guessing and just play your spot. Like, if you're supposed to be, in the flats over there, like, just guard that. Stop guessing. Like, that doesn't work in the NFL. You're playing against other pros, other people that are getting paid for a living to provide for their families, their house, and all that. They're smart. Just stop guessing. But if it does work out, you made that defense, which got terribly weaker over the offseason, with losing, obviously, like C.J. Mosley, Zadarius Smith, and all them. Now the secondary, you have a potential to be a pretty nice secondary. I'll give them that. Because you get Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, Earl Thomas. You got something working there.
Earl Thomas isn't the player he once was, and the Ravens have struggled in the secondary, which people thought before the season that might be their strength. They've struggled in the secondary. Their front seven's been a little bit better than expected, but they've struggled in the secondary. That's a big reason why they traded for Marcus Peters.
Yeah, because now their secondary could be Earl Thomas, Marcus Peters, Jimmy Smith, Brandon Carr, Marlon Humphrey. It's not bad.
No, not at all. Not at all. So we'll get to the games this week, and we'll start with the Thursday night game as the Chiefs travel to Denver to face the Broncos. And this is going to be an interesting divisional matchup because Kansas City's coming to this game banged up. They're probably not going to. They're probably not going to have Eric Fisher. They're probably not going to have Sammy Watkins. And their offensive line recently has not played well at all. And let's be honest, Patrick Mahomes is not going to be 100% in this game.
Yeah, that angle. Oof.
Yeah, like it's been the last 2 weeks. I think Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman have big days on the ground for the Broncos. I think they run the football well. I think this is a close competitive game, but in the end, I think Patrick Mahomes does enough for the Chiefs. He has a good game, does enough for the Chiefs to snap their 2-game losing streak. I got the Chiefs winning Thursday night 28-24 over the Broncos.
Give me the Broncos. I got them 24-21 at home. I think they do the Broncos are smart. They do exactly what the Colts and Texans did. Run the ball, keep the clock, and just wear down that KC defense. Last week they got down. They lost by the time possession, I think, by 20 minutes last week. They were on defense for 40 minutes of that game, too. So, and especially it's a short week too, so you don't have that full week to recover either. Mahomes has been so banged up, and the Broncos D finally looks like they figured something out. I know the last 2 weeks they've played the Chargers, who just have looked awful the last couple of weeks, and the Titans, who are figuring out their quarterback issues. But still, that defense has really figured something out, and they're really starting to play well. So I get Denver at home. I'm going to take them on the short week.
Yeah, I did look it up. The time possession for the Texans Chiefs game was a hair under 40 minutes for the Texans, a hair over 20 minutes for the Chiefs. So like you said, when you have that ball for that little of a time, you got to score. And when your defense is just god-awful, like, how are you going to stop him? Might as well, you could just run I-form all day. Just run I-form out the middle. Like, their defense isn't built for, to really stop anything, really. Okay, you have solid pass rushers on a roster. Okay, cool. Can they stop a run? Just run it up the middle every play. But I do think the Chiefs will win. I think it's going to be a 27-20 victory for the Chiefs. For the Soul fan, I just think that the Chiefs are going to be in such a we need to win now mode, because if you fall far behind like the Patriots and the Texans, like you're looking at having to pretty good possibility to play in the wild card round, because you're gonna have to play the Patriots later in the year. You know, you already played the Texans, you just lost to them, so that tiebreaker is already going to them. So right now you need to like regroup and just like figure out which way is the season going, because right now it's not looking hot right now.
Because their next 2 games are actually home versus Packers and home versus Vikings. So
yeah, so you got tough teams, especially with those 2 teams. You got 2 nice pass rushes. Like you got the Smith brothers and the Packers, and you got Daniel Hunter coming at you. So you need to get Mahomes healthy, because an ankle injury, if this thing lingers on and potentially somehow he makes it worse, your season's over. Because that defense, like I said, isn't going to do a thing. And you need Mahomes to be 100%. Because you need to put up points at every time you get the ball.
Absolutely. So we got the Raiders traveling to Green Bay to face the Packers this week, and I think the Packers win this game, but I think the Raiders hang in there a little bit. I think the Raiders contain the run game of Aaron Jones. Aaron Rodgers, I watched him on Monday night. He's still an elite quarterback, but I think, especially mobility-wise, he's not as good as he once was. And I think the Raiders stay in this game a little bit, but eventually I think the Packers win this game. I mean, I think that Rodgers makes enough plays. I think the Packers with Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith get pressure on Derek Carr. I think Josh Jacobs has a good game, but I think it's not going to be enough. And in the end, I got the Packers beating the Raiders 27-17.
yeah, I got the Packers win this one. I got them winning 28-20. I think the Raiders definitely keep it close, but I think in the second half, Rodgers comes out, has a big second half, and I think ultimately gets the win. Yeah, the Packers right now, they're 23rd in the league in rushing defense. So I think, Josh Jacobs definitely going to have some success on the ground game. So I think, they'll definitely be able to get that going in the first half. But I think the Packers come play better and I get the win.
Yeah, I have the Packers winning 27-20. I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for them against the Raiders, like a lot more than it should be, because the Raiders do love to run the ball. I mean, they're averaging 134 yards a game. Right now, the Packers are giving up 124. Like, that's the weakness of that defense. Their pass defense, outstanding. The run defense is the weakness of that team. And the issue I could see possibly with the Packers, I mean, it all depends on the injuries for their wide receivers. Like, Deron Milson got, I believe it was a concussion, never came back. Devontae Adams, do we know if he's going to play or not? Like, and let's say those guys don't play. Who's their number 1 wide receiver at that point?
Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah, Valdez-Scantling.
I mean, there was a Lazard guy that Rodgers made good the other night.
Yeah, which I did hear a thing that he went up to the coaches and said, "Put that guy in." So,
and when Aaron Rodgers says to put him in, you got to go.
And they were like, "Yes, sir." Yes, whatever you say, sir. And that was a nice throw and a nice catch on the touchdown, man. But this is a game that's going to be a lot closer, I think, solely because of injuries. Because if the Packers are fully healthy, they have Deron Milson and Devontae Adams. I think they could win this by 3 scores. But I do believe with the injuries, it's going to be a close 7-point victory for the Packers.
The Rams travel down to Atlanta to face the Falcons, and the Falcons are a complete mess right now. Yeah, Matt Ryan hasn't played that poorly, but the rest of the team has. They can't run the ball. Their defense has been absolutely pathetic, and I feel like this defense is definitely quitting on Dan Quinn, and their offensive line hasn't been good either. And for the Rams, yes, they have been struggling, but this is kind of their get-right game. I think if Gurley plays, they'll be able to have success running the ball with him. I think Goff will have success off play action, and I think Ramsey will do well in his return in his first game with the Rams. And I got the Rams winning this game 31-20 over the Falcons. And it's not the question if Dan Quinn is going to be fired. It is the question when Dan Quinn is going to be fired. That definitely is going to happen.
I got the Rams winning this one 34-27. The other day, I think it was a GM. He was saying right now Dan Quinn's job is safe.
Just stop it.
That's what I heard.
I mean, it's safe until December 30th when he gets fired. He will not be the Falcons coach past December 30th. You can count on that.
Maybe that's what he's just saying, because just think about it. If you say Now his job isn't safe. Then it's like you're putting everyone on eggshells. You're just this game's probably your last line of hope for the Falcons.
Yeah, because I think I had them at 10-6 going the year, so they.
I had them at 12-4.
Yeah, I think I had them roughly in the same. I might have been in the middle of you guys at 11-5. I thought they were gonna make some serious noise.
I thought they were too, but yeah,
they did make noise. It's just not the good kind.
Yeah, when you only run the ball for 74 yards a game, they're second at passing offense, but that's because they can't run. Freeman actually played well in the catching game. He had 2 receiving touchdowns last week. They had a nice comeback, but their defense is just so bad right now. I think Goff's gonna have a huge day against Atlanta's defense. Really struggled, so I'll take the Rams on the road.
I have the Rams winning 24-20. Like I said, I think it's gonna be close. I think because I don't think Gurley's gonna be healthy, so you're gonna have to focus on the pass game. Just almost strictly. I mean, mixing just to keep them honest with the run game if you're the Rams, but. Like I said, with the Falcons, they have to be the most underwhelming team ever this season. It's just like you have promise, you have talent on your team. This team has Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Mohamed Sanu, Austin Hooper, Devontae Freeman. That's just the offense. And on defense, you have Deion Jones, Grady Jarrett. I mean, you had Keanu Neal before he ultimately got hurt. You have talent everywhere. Your record is 1 game better than the Dolphins right now. That just says it enough. That should almost just seal Dan Quinn's fate. You need to be so much better than that. If you're the Rams, I think if you don't win this game, you might as well goodbye to this season in terms of being a possible playoff contender, because this is a team where if you're struggling right now, you're not 100% right now, and you're battling for a chance, to keep your name in for a wild card. You need to beat a team that is 1-5 and that's struggling with the Falcons. If you don't do this, I would say wave goodbye to the playoffs.
I completely agree with that. So we got a matchup between 2 rookie quarterbacks this week as the Cardinals traveled to MetLife Stadium to face the Giants, and I think this is going to be. We don't know if I don't think Sterling Shepard's going to play. Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley might return. Evan Ingram might play, but I still think this is going to be a really competitive game.
Isn't Patrick Peterson coming?
Patrick Peterson is back for the Cardinals, even though there are trade rumors with him. He is back for the Cardinals this week, so that especially that pass defense is really going to get better. You got Terrell Suggs, Chandler Jones rushing the passer than him on the back end, but I think the Giants have success running the ball, which opens up play action for Daniel Jones. I think this is going to be Daniel Jones' best game. He's going to have his best game since his first game in Week 3. I think Daniel Jones has a really good game this week. I think Kyler Murray also has a pretty good game this week. But at the end of the day, I think the difference in this game is going to be, I think the Giants are going to run the football better, and they're going to get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback because the Cardinals' offensive line is still absolutely terrible. In a close, competitive game, I got the Giants winning 27-23.
Yeah, I got the Giants taking this one as well. I got them winning 31-27. I think that would be a close game. I think Giants will pull at the end. But yeah, Cardinals defense really struggling. And I think, the way the Giants played last week in Foxborough, they gave the Patriots their own for a while. But then the thing was their defense wore down. The Patriots just controlled they had the ball for, I think, 38 minutes.
Similar story of the Redskins game against the Patriots.
Yeah, so that's kind of what happened with the Giants. I give the Giants a lot of credit for going in there, playing well. But I think Giants bounce back this week, especially if they get Barkley back. If he's able to play, I think I feel a lot more confident about this pick. But I think the Giants will win another one.
I have the Cardinals winning 27-20, and it's not because I hate the Giants, which obviously I will hate the Giants for life because of those 2 Super Bowls. I think it's because with Barkley potentially coming back, I don't know, even if he does come back, how healthy is he going to be? And how many snaps is he going to play? Is he going to be like the workhorse running back he was before, or are they going to kind of ease him back in, okay, let's test you out this game. Let's see how your injury's doing. And I think with Patrick Peterson coming back, that's going to give a nice shot to that defense, and you're just going to now have the ability to put Patrick Peterson on whatever receiver you want and roll coverage, to the other side with having a solid pass rush behind it. So I think that's ultimately what's going to be I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be offense, especially if Barkley plays and hopefully Evan Ingram plays for the Giants. You're going to see offensive plays, explosive plays. You're going to see the explosiveness of the Cardinals offense against the defense of the Giants. But I think the Cardinals ultimately do win a close game, but I don't think it's because of Daniel Jones playing bad. I think he's going to have a good game. I just think it's that defense. is just going to struggle against this offense. That's why I think Cardinals are going to win.
We have an AFC North match. We have an AFC South matchup in Indianapolis this week as the Texans travel to Indy to face the Colts. This is a battle for first place, and I really like the way the Texans are playing right now. I think they're starting to protect Deshaun Watson better. I think the run game has been better with Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson, and I think some of the receivers have stepped up as well. I mean, you got the receivers stepping. You got Will Fuller has really stepped up. DeAndre Hopkins has played well, and I think defensively they'll be able to do enough in this game. I think the Colts will move the ball. I think Brissett will get the ball to T.Y. Hilton. I think Marlon Mack will have a decent game. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Houston winning this game on the road. And I'm going Houston 31-24 over the Colts.
I do have the Texans win as well in this one. I have them winning 24-20. I need to be low low scoring, but yeah, the Texans last week did not allow a sack. I know the Kansas City pass rush isn't great, but
I think it's the second straight game they've done that too.
Really? So it seems like maybe this line's starting to figure something out. They run the ball really well. And both these teams are just, last time we saw the Colts, they just came off of winning in KC too. So both these teams are coming off winning at KC on the road. And I think the Colts are still pretty banged up with that defense. They played very well in KC. I know Mahomes got kind of hurt in that first half, but they really stepped up how young that defense was. But I really like the way the Titans are playing. I like how Deshaun Watson's been playing the last couple of weeks. So I think Texans win another one.
Yeah, I have the Texans winning 27-24. I think it's going to come down. It wouldn't surprise me at all if it's a last-second field goal attempt. Problem is, with the Colts, is that on that defense, how healthy are you going to be? Because like you said, against the Chiefs, they had, I think, the youngest defense in the whole NFL starting that week because of all those injuries. And it was a shocker that they went in, and beat KC like that and kind of shutting down that offense, which was, insane. Obviously, Mahomes did get hurt, but even before then, they weren't moving Chiefs weren't moving the ball like you're accustomed to see that. If you're the Texans, you're thinking, hopefully we found out how to actually protect the quarterback, because before the last two games for Deshaun's career, I mean, that guy would get hit routinely every game, just all the time. And you can't, Deshaun Watson's a strong guy, but he's not like a built guy like Cam is. He doesn't have that body type, so I don't think he can withstand those level of hits that he was getting accustomed to every game, all day, every day. But I think if you could mix in DeAndre Hopkins in the run game, and then you hit Will Fuller for those big plays over top, that's going to be your formula if you're the Texans on offense. Just mix in a run game, get that play action going. You can hit DeAndre Hopkins short, screen game, mid, even if you want to have him go deep. And just mix in Will Fuller. Have him be that big play guy, because if he's able to stay healthy, and you're going to have to respect his speed, because that guy's one of the fastest guys in the league. And then you're able to even mix in Kenny Stills, who still has some pretty good speed. You have the potential to be an explosive offense, and that's what the Texans need going down the line.
Yes. We got an NFC North matchup in Detroit as the Vikings take on the Lions, who lost a brutal game on Monday night. And I think it's going to be another brutal loss for the Lions this week. I think Dalvin Cook's going to have his way on the ground. I think Kirk Cousins is going to play a good game. I think Matthew Stafford's going to be okay against this defense, but I think it's going to come down to the last drive. And I don't think Matthew Stafford's going to make a play. And I think in typical Lions fashion, they kick field goals instead of getting touchdowns, and they end up losing this game. And I got the Vikings beating the Lions in Detroit 24-19.
I am taking the Lions 23-20. I feel like the Lions are due to actually finish a game. And yeah, going back to last week, you finish those if you get those field goals, or if you get touchdowns instead of field goals, you win that game. Those were not penalties on Flowers, I will say that. But I think the Lions are winning late in this game. Or I think, they kick a field goal to go up 3 late, and I don't think Kirk Cousins is able to lead the Vikings down for a game-winning drive. Look, Cousins played very, very well last week. I can't see back-to-back performances like that by Kirk. I think Dalvin Cook will have success running the ball, but I think the Lions hopefully Cousins will have to make some plays to beat him, and I think and I think the Lions are able to slow him down. The secondary hasn't been terrible for the Lions, as bad as I think everybody thought.
Justin Coleman played pretty good against the Packers.
Yeah, he had a nice pick. They got out to early 13-0 lead. They had outgained the Packers 214 yards of 45. They just didn't really finish, and you got to convert touchdowns when you're playing Aaron Rodgers, especially on the road. They didn't really do that.
If you're the Lions for that Packers game, you just gotta obviously that's gonna hurt you because let's be honest, those weren't penalties, especially that second one. Like if I'm Trey, because if my thinking is at that point, if I'm Trey Flowers, I'm stepping in front of the when you're going up for your post game press conference or whatever. I'm going up and be like, listen, NFL, you're gonna have to fine me because you constantly get on the players about making sure we play the right way. Don't stuff to get fined, and you constantly hold us accountable. The refs literally handed the Packers a victory. Like, here's a victory. Take it.
Yeah, but also, let's be honest, Kyle. The Lions didn't take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, you have 2 trips to the red zone, you kick field goals.
This is the thing, I mean, the way you got to look at it in my head, if you are the Lions, is we can't let it be in the ref's hands. We can't let that possibility happen, which is what they did.
And that was the problem. The Lions didn't take advantage of it. They didn't take advantage of the fact that they had their opportunities. They had two turnovers. They didn't capitalize, and they kicked field goals. 2 times in the red zone, they kicked field goals. I mean, kick 5 field goals. You can't expect to beat Aaron Rodgers kicking 5 field goals. Yes, you want to blame the refs, go ahead, but that's what losers do.
They let the possibility of that, and that's that's the way you got to look at it.
Losers blame the refs. The Lions should have taken advantage of opportunity. What'd you say?
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, exactly. You're 100% right about that. But yeah, losers blame the refs, and the Lions didn't take advantage of opportunities. They need to take advantage of the opportunity during the game, and that's why the Lions lost that game. Yes, the refs. Yes, those were 2 bad calls, but the Lions put themselves in position to get screwed, and they ended up losing that game.
Yep, they definitely did. But with this game, I do have the Vikings winning. I just think that pass rush in particular, even though Stafford this year has played relatively turnover prone, he's had 9 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, but you look at how that game started off last week against the Packers. They hit that flea flicker right away, and if I'm not mistaken, the next play that snap is fumbled and it kind of kills the drive. So it's you take one gigantic step forward and then it's and fumbled snap, and now we're behind the 8 ball. So that's the problem with the Lions, just inconsistent because they have a nice team, they got pieces. It's just kind of putting it all together for a whole complete game, which right now I don't think they're going to be able to against the Vikings.
Yes, we will go on to a game in Cincinnati as the 2-4 Jags visit the 0-6 Bengals, and I think this game I went back and forth with, but I think the Bengals continue to stay winless. I think the Jaguars get pressure on Andy Dalton. You got Calais Campbell and Josh Allen and Yannick Ngakoue get pressure on Andy Dalton. I think that Leonard Fournette has a big day on the ground. I think Minshew has a decent game, and I think it's going to be a close game. But I got the Jaguars winning in Cincinnati. I got them winning 23-17 over the Bengals.
Yeah, I got the Jags bounce back 23-16. Last week, Gardner Minshew came back down to earth and did not play. They were 0-2 in the red zone too, which in the NFL you cannot go 0-2 in the red zone and get a win that will never, you got to be able to convert in the red zone.
Yeah, good luck with that formula working.
Yeah, and just for the Bengals, and it looked like they had a running back in Joe Mixon, but he hasn't really played well at all this year. They're only averaging 56 yards a game on the ground.
Yeah, he has 252 yards in 6 games.
And didn't Fournette had 220 in Denver?
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, Fournette right now is averaging just a hair under 100 per game. I mean, he has 584 in 6 games.
Yeah, so I just think Jaguars are control. I think they'll do enough. I know now losing Ramsey hurts, even though he wasn't really probably going to play secondary, but I just think Jag bounce back. Gardner Minshew plays better, and they pick up a win, especially because they need it with the way the Texans are playing. The Jag want any chance to win the division, they got to win a game against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I do have Jacksonville winning 24-21. I think it's because right now you're playing the Bengals. The Bengals, to me, are probably the second worst team in the league. Because right now, I think the worst team in the league is Washington Redskins. Then we had the Bengals, and then we had Dolphins. And this is why I know Dolphins. This is why I will say, because the Dolphins at least have a plan. Their plan is tanking, but they've committed to it. Bengals, I don't know what their plan is. Washington, I don't know what their plan is. at all. Like, at least the Dolphins know they're terrible and they've committed to it. And at least they have a thing for it. And they have 3 first-round picks next year? Yeah. So that's the only reason why I say, like, they have a plan and they're going for it. The Bengals and the Washington don't. Personally, that's what I would say. But right now, if you're the Bengals, like, you're going against Jacksonville, you're going up against a good pass rush. You know you're going to get a heavy dose of Fournette, and hopefully Jags' game plan's going to be mixing that. The play action, try to hit big plays, you know, to DJ Chark and all that. Who's actually looks like a viable NFL receiver now, because last year wasn't looking so great, and now he's having 30 catches over the first 6 games for 528, and he has 5 touchdowns so far. So he's looking pretty good, but you're not, like you said, you need to win this game to keep, you know, pace with the Texans and just to keep him so you don't fall way too far back. Because if you lose this game, I don't think you don't have a chance of catching them at this point. Because at that point where you're going to be, 2-3 games back? Like, you gotta win this game. Especially, it's an 0-6 Bengals. Win this game.
Yes. So we got the Niners traveling up to D.C. to face the Redskins. And I think in this game, because the Niners are traveling they're playing a game in the Eastern time zone. They're traveling to Washington. I think they might struggle at the beginning of this game. I think this might be competitive for a half. But in the second half, I think the Niners run game of Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman take over. And I think that the Niners end up winning this game and winning this game pretty handily. I think this pass rush of Nick Bosa, DeForest Buckner, and D4 takes over too. I think that the Redskins lose this game. This could be the last game that Dwayne Haskins doesn't play for the Redskins. I think after this game, after Keenum struggles, they'll finally go to Dwayne Haskins full time. And I think that the Niners win this game. I got them win it 27-10 on Sunday.
Yeah, I get the Niners win this one 24-30. I think they definitely come out a little bit sleepy, especially after their win last week in LA against the Rams. I think, you know, maybe a little bit of kind of walk through this game for a half, but I think they pull away in the second half just because their defense has been so dominant. I don't think the Washington Redskins will get any offensive gain. I think, you know, they'll really struggle. And they should start Dwayne Haskins, but I just think this organization is so dysfunctional that will not happen. I could just see him, they will waste his whole year on the bench. But yeah, Niners 24-3.
Yeah, I have the 49ers winning. I have them, obviously, they're winning big. I think 34-10. I mean, that pass rush is just, it's good. Like, you got talent on that pass rush, you got depth on that pass rush. They probably run about 5 deep at, like, above average pass rushers, which most teams don't have that, like, or even close to it. And if you're watching, like, what's your plan right now? Like, it's like they're trying, like, you have talent on that team. It's not like you're void of talent, but it feels like you're trying not to really compete. And like you said with Dwayne Haskins, look who's come into the NFL and at least had success. Just look at the Steelers. Who was it that they played against? The Chargers
from Stanford University.
Yeah, some, like, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful there, but it's kind of like you just pluck a guy off the street and be like, listen, we need you to play. Like, okay, you at least have some sort of ability. Like, come play for us. And he played solid enough to get a victory. Mm-hmm. They drafted this man in the first round, and they refused to play this guy. Why? I don't, like, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand Washington's thinking in terms of, like, what's their plan to do. So that's why ultimately it's going to be a long day again for the Redskins. I think the 49ers are going to stay undefeated.
We have a AFC East matchup in Buffalo as the 4-1 Bills host the 0-6 Dolphins. And I think, yes, this is a division game, but I think this game is going to be a complete blowout. I think the Bills get pressure on Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to run the ball. I think that the Bills are going to be able to run the ball all day with Frank Gore and Devin Singletary. And I think Josh Allen has his best game of the season. And I think the Bills win big to go to 5-1. I think they cruise to 5-1. They win big. I got the Bills beating the Dolphins 34-10.
I got the Bills win this one 24-0. I think maybe the Dolphins can get a score if Josh Allen makes a mistake, but I just think I don't know if the Miami defense is so bad. I don't know if that will happen. I think they'll just run the ball all over Miami anyways. I don't even think they'll need Allen to throw very much. So I'm going with a big one for the Bills, and yeah, so they're sitting at 5-1.
Excuse me. I have the Bills winning 24-7. The only reason why I have Miami getting any points is I think Josh Allen's going to throw an interception that can kind of give Miami like a, quote unquote, like cheap touchdown where they're not going to have to drive the whole field. But we know Miami's actively tanking. Buffalo right now, again, this is kind of a thing of, if you're thinking you're one of the top teams in the AFC, along, the Patriots, Chiefs, and the Texans, You got to win this game. And if you're going to show that you're that level of team, you need to blow this team out. Like, you need to win by at least 21 points in my eyes. Is Buffalo going to be able to do that? Maybe. I think it's because more of the defense potentially setting up the offense. Because right now, Josh Allen right now isn't doing tremendous. Like, he has 5 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and his passing yards are 1,122. I need to start seeing more from you. I need to start seeing more consistency, because you don't want to waste this defense, which is one of the top in the league. But ultimately, against Miami, they'll move on. Easy win victory for Buffalo.
We'll go to the 4 o'clock games. We got the Saints heading to Chicago to face the Bears. And I think, yes, the Saints are 4-0 with Teddy Bridgewater, but I think this is the spot where Bridgewater loses his first game. I think the Bears are rested after their bye week. It's not like they were heading out to London where they were absolutely terrible defensively against the Raiders. I think this defense finds its form again. It gets back on track. Even though they lost Akeem Hicks for the season, I still think that this defense gets back on track with Roquan Smith, with Khalil Mack, with Leonard Floyd. This defense and Eddie Jackson. This defense gets back on track, and I think they're gonna shut the Rams' run game down. They're gonna force Bridgewater to be one-dimensional. I think Allen Robinson has a big game for the Bears, and I got the Bears winning this 20-13 at home against the Saints.
I do have the Saints winning this one 21-17. The Saints defense has been so good. I don't know who's playing at quarterback this week. I don't know if it's going to be Daniels or Trubisky. I just don't think either one's going to have any type of success, and I think there's going to be a couple of turnovers. Saints have a short field, and I think Bridgewater capitalizes on that. I like the way the Saints are playing, especially defensively. Their defense is so good right now so far. I think they slow down the running game of the Bears, and I'm going to take the Saints. I'm going to take Teddy to win another one.
I have the Bears winning 24-20. I think that defense is going to be able to get to Bridgewater, and not that he's not a good quarterback, because he definitely is a good quarterback and he is a starter. And I think it's kind of, I want to say luck. I'm trying to think of the best way to start, but I think he's playing better than what he is in my eyes. Like, he's just having one of those hot streaks. I just think, going against the Bears defense, which we know has a good pass rush, although losing Akeem Hicks definitely going to put a dent in that defense. But that team on defensively wise is just loaded with just talent, whether it's linebackers, pass rush, secondary. That defense is amazing. And going into Chicago, it's going to be interesting to see how Teddy's going to be able to live with that. If you're the Bears, just hope, because I think Daniels is going to play, because I think you need to let Trubisky just get 100% healthy. And I think even if he played, he wouldn't be that, especially against a good defense. Like, you don't want him to get that injury worse and have him then, let's say, be out for the season. But I think the Bears do ultimately win the game. It's going to be close. I think it could be an ugly game. I think we could see some, a couple defensive scores, maybe, a special teams, touchdown of some sort. But I think the Bears do ultimately win the game 24-20.
We have the Ravens just acquired Marcus Peters, heading to Seattle to face the Seahawks this week. I think the Seahawks win another one. I think they go to 6-1. I think Wilson has another good game. I think they have not a ton of success running the ball, but they have success running the ball with Chris Carson. I think Wilson has another really good game, continues his MVP season. And I think for the Ravens, I think the Seahawks shut down the run game. They forced Lamar Jackson to throw from the pocket, and I think he's going to struggle a little bit doing that. And that's why I think the Seahawks are going to win again. And I got them winning it 27-20 over the Ravens.
I got the Seahawks winning this one 31-24. I think Marcus Peters going back to where he played college ball at Washington. That's so going back home. I think Russell Wilson, just 17 touchdowns and no interceptions so far. He's just been unbelievable. He should probably be the front runner right now for MVP. I feel like I think at home too. They don't really lose at home very much. I know that they didn't play great against the Saints. They kind of woke up late. I don't see them losing again at home this week against the Ravens. I think they do enough, and I think Jackson's going to have to throw this game. I don't think Seattle's going to let him run around and let him beat him with his legs. So I'm going to take the Seattle at home.
Yeah. Real quick. Real quick. That Browns fan I told you about, I think the culture change for the Browns at the beginning of the year, he said that Russell Wilson was overrated, by the way.
It shows you what that guy knows about football.
Literally nothing. Exactly. But Seahawks are going to win by 3 points. You're going to see a lot of running, because these teams love to run the ball, and you're going to see again, this is the thing I'll constantly say about quarterbacks that have the ability to run around in terms, especially with Lamar Jackson. Watch how Russell Wilson plays. Emulate that to the T. You will be successful in the NFL.
Yes, absolutely. So we have an AFC matchup in Tennessee, and Tennessee made a quarterback change this week, benching Marcus Mariota in favor of Ryan Tannehill. And I think that move is going to work. I think that the Titans have success running the ball with Derrick Henry. I think Tannehill has a pretty good game. And I think the Chargers are a mess right now. They can't stop the run. They can't protect Phillip Rivers. I think it's going to be more of the same on Sunday. They're going to struggle. Rivers will have a decent game. Even though he's fallen off a little bit, he'll have a decent game. But I think they struggle. I think that the Chargers struggle to protect Rivers. And I think that the Titans win this game. And I got the Titans winning 24-21 over the Chargers.
I got the Titans win this one 20-10. The Chargers are just an absolute wreck right now. Like that felt like a road game last week.
Keenan Allen even put up something about it, saying that team is a mess.
Yeah, the problem is they have no fans. The Rams have. They don't have a great fan base in LA, but they have fans. The Chargers have no fans where they're playing right now.
It was the Steelers game that were last night. I saw a picture where it literally looked like.
It looked like they were feeling the terrible towels.
Yeah,
it even looked like it was in LA.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I think the Chargers have just quit. I think Tennessee's defense is going to play well. They bounce back. Tannehill didn't look awful last week after the switch. You know, he moved the ball a little bit. I know they still got stood out, but I think Henry's got success. I think Henry will run. They'll open up their run game for him a little bit. Chargers, it's going to be a long rest of the season for them.
Yeah, I had the Titans winning a close but ugly game. I have the Titans winning 20-16. And if your Titans, the run game all day, every day, just heavy doses of Henry, mixing, the unless one potential, like mix in the play action and just get after it, because that O-line isn't great. And it seems like whatever hope that offense had of being consistent, because when Austin Eckler was the guy, he was moving the ball pretty good. Like, this guy was getting a lot of yardage, whether it's receiving or running wise. Melvin Gordon comes back, and it's like it threw a monkey wrench into their game plan. They weren't prepared for it.
He hasn't done anything so far.
And it's like him coming back, he hasn't done anything. And then it's kind of stunted Austin Eckler's production. So now you're not really getting much in terms of the run from the running backs, whether in the receiving or in the run game. The receivers, like, they have talent there, but it's not really like connecting on a consistent basis. So I think it's going to be another ugly game for the Chargers, and they will lose the game by 4. Titans win 20-16.
We got the big NFC showdown in Dallas as the Eagles travel to Dallas to face the Cowboys. Both teams coming off losses last week. There's a lot of scrutiny in Dallas about Jason Garrett and his job, and I think the Eagles are going into this game in better shape. I think that, yes, they had a bad week last week, but at least there's a direction there with Doug Peterson. He's going to be the head coach. He's going to be the head coach there for a while. I think Carson Wentz, even though they lost, played pretty well last week. The problem with the Eagles is their secondary is absolutely terrible. So, I mean, if you look at the Eagles going into this game, I think in this game that they'll struggle a little bit offensively, because I think they'll have trouble running the football, and I think the Cowboys will get pressure on Carson Wentz because the Eagles are weak at left tackle. But I think at the end of the day, the Eagles are going to be able to contain Ezekiel Elliott and make Dak Prescott beat them. And we all know what happened. Yes, he came through in the clutch last week, but he didn't get the 2-point conversion. We all know what happens when you make Dak Prescott beat you. He usually doesn't. And I think at the end of the day, this is a really, and you look at the Cowboys, got some injuries. You don't know if Tyron Smith or Lyle Collins are going to play. You don't know if Amari Cooper is going to play. And I think that ultimately makes the difference in the game. And that's why I think it's going to be a really close game. But I think the Eagles win this game, and I got them winning it 23-20 on Sunday night.
I got the Eagles win this one 27-21. I think the Cowboys quit under Jason Garrett last week. I don't know if you guys saw that video when all the players were walking off the field.
I was going to mention it.
One guy gave him a high five. Like,
this is the problem with Jason Garrett, and I'm not going to do it into the mic because it will be too loud. But he'll walk off the sidelines. They could be down 30 points, this last possible chance they had, and he'll go around clapping. Just like, stop clapping, fool.
They called him the clapper.
Yeah, it's just like, I could care less if the Cowboys fail. That drives me insane watching him just do that. Oh, guys, we're down 30 points with 5 minutes left in the fourth. Stop.
Yeah, I think the Cowboy players, Jason Garrett, is really his act is wearing down the guy. He wasn't a terrible. He was a good coach for them. I mean, you can't say he was a bad coach. I mean, they got to the playoffs.
Yeah,
they won a couple of division titles.
Above average coach that doesn't know what to do in a clutch time.
Yeah, the problem is I think the Cowboy players are just getting tired of his act. And I think this will definitely be his last year. I mean, I've heard rumors he might get fired if they lose to the Eagles. I think they're going to stick with him the entire season. But if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs, there's no way Jason Garrett keeps his job.
Sorry, real quick. Come clutch time. This seriously seems like this is what Jason Garrett's mindset is. He'll like, okay, coach, what should we do? I don't know. That's what it seems like to me.
I feel, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but I feel like Jason Garrett's going to be the head coach here until Jerry Jones is 6 feet under, or until he sells the team, which I don't think is going to be happening. I just think, like, unless a Jerry Jones can find another puppet to control, I don't see that. I don't see him firing Garrett.
And
I just don't.
And that's the problem with the Cowboys. That's why the Cowboys haven't been to the NFC Championship game in over a quarter century, is because Jerry Jones. The one thing Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones do well is pick talent. The one thing they don't do well is pick coaches. Yeah,
because they have a strong-minded head coach. That's when they have issues. Because was it with Bill Parcells when he was there? They had it clashed.
There were issues, but Parcells turned that team around.
Yeah, he did. It's just like he could get in there, like he almost got him to be the best possibility that they could, but it's just like Jerry Jones just wouldn't let him go 100%.
No, not at all.
And
no. like he was able to do with the Giants and Patriots.
Yeah, and with the abilities of like head coaches beyond that, they were, people were saying maybe Sean Payton. Let's just throw Sean Payton there. How do you think that's going to work with Jerry Jones? Yeah, he is a strong-minded guy.
The problem
Sean
is,
Payton.
if you say Lincoln Riley, I think Lincoln Riley would be a fool to leave Oklahoma to go to to work with Jerry Jones with the Cowboys.
He'd be a puppet in that with that team with Jerry Jones.
I think he said he's already saying Oklahoma. I don't think he's. Because I thought the Browns are going to interview him, but I think he declined.
The Browns should interview anyone. The Browns should interview the guy that just drove the bus past us. Like, good Lord, because get rid of Freddie Kitchens. But I think the Eagles should win this game. In my eyes, I think they should win. Or I have them winning. Sorry, I have the Eagles winning 21-20. Sorry, let me just restart that. I have the Eagles winning 31-27 because how is it right now? Like you said, when I saw that clip, that's not a good sign. That's not like that's a sign of the season and team trending downward.
That's a sign of you losing the locker room.
That's bad. And once you lose the locker room, there goes your season. And the hype around this team. I honestly, even though I don't like the Cowboys, I thought this team was going to make a solid run at the Super Bowl and be there potentially in the NFC Championship game because the team's that's talented. They're trending downwards right now. And if you have any hope of saving your season, you need to at least play good in this game. You don't want to just play, like, have the hard effort, have Jason Garrett be like, hey guys, we lost again. But you need to win this game against the especially being your rival, because right now, at that division, well, it's not the best. That's a tight division right now. You need to win.
We got an AFC East matchup on Monday Night Football with the Pats heading down to New York to face the Jets, down to MetLife Stadium to face the Jets. And this is my upset of the week. I think that with C.J. Mosley potentially being back, the way Sam Darnold played in the first half last week, and the way New England looked on offense against the Giants, New England struggled to run the ball. Yes, they ran for over 100. They ran for over 100 yards, but a lot of those yards were after they were up by 2 scores. The Patriots' offensive line is shaky. Brady is not as good right now as Mahomes, Wilson, or Rodgers. He's not as good. Let's be honest. He's not as good as those quarterbacks. And I think that the Jets are going to be able to force the Patriots to be one-dimensional. I think this is the best quarterback this Pats defense. People are saying is so great. This is the best quarterback outside of Big Ben in Week 1. This is the best quarterback that they're going to face, and I think Sam Darnold has a good game. I think Le'Veon Bell does enough on the ground. I think the Jet defense shuts down New England's running game and contains New England's passing game. And this is my upset of the week. And the Patriots got to lose sometime. I got the Jets upsetting the Patriots this week on Monday Night Football, 24-20.
I have the same score, but I have the Pats hanging on for dear life. I think they can pull this one out, and I know you can look at the Jets saying they're 1-4, but they finally are healthy. And I think
they're night and day with Sam Darnold.
Oh yeah, and you could totally see that last week. And I think at the beginning of the season, when I think I actually did have the Jets beating the Pats this week, but I don't know. And I think the problem is that for the Pats right now is I don't know if Brady trusts the young receivers because he loves going to Edelman, and I know that, but I think he's got to try, and I know they're all banged up, and I don't know what Gordon's impacted, but I think he's got to. I did see that Gordon is healthy from what I've seen, because that injury looked
like your
ankle,
his knee in particular, even not even his ankle, his knee should went boink, gone.
Yeah, and I think Brady's got to try to trust like a Myers and an Izzo, and I know he's got Watson back. I don't know how much he's gonna play though.
But it's going to give Brady some sort of security, like and mentally.
Yeah, and I think they do need another wide receiver. I think they need to go out and get somebody, a veteran. And the Jets, they looked well last week under Darnold. I did have the Cowboys who thought to win that game, and they lost pretty much in every category to the Jets, and they still won. And that's kind of just the Cowboys for you right there. But I think the Pats do pull one out, but. Of all the picks this week, that's like my shaky one. I'm really not too confident about it, and it's not just because I'm a Pats fan, but I think they do pull it out on the road. I think they do enough. Yeah,
and I sent this in the group text to you guys. It was about the Cowboys and the Jets game. It said NFL teams were 90-1 since 1991 when they win the time of possession, total yards, turnovers, and pick up 25 first downs and convert at least 10 or more third down attempts. That one loss was Dallas to the Jets, which I'll give them the Dallas this. That's not the traditional 0-4 team. Traditional 0-4 team, you're thinking kind of like how Washington is, Miami is,
Cincinnati,
Bengals. Yeah. That's not it. Like the talent of that Jets team to me was like a 2-2, 3-2 team. Like they were definitely better than what they normally, than what the record says. The only reason why I think that the Patriots are going to win, because I have them winning by 11, because I think they can get a defensive score late that might seal it, because the best receiver for the Jets, Rodney Anderson, let's say, meets Stephon Gilmore. Who else is their other weapon? They're going to get, Herndon back?
Chris Herndon, Jamison Crowder,
They're tight end, so it's like...
you have Bell too against your linebackers as well,
So it's gonna be like they have Matt. Like I think Bell could potentially have a big game in terms of receiving wise, run game. I'm not sure how it's gonna do. The thing with the Pats got to do is just stay away from the turnovers, because the Giants game when they go up 14-0. Honestly, I'll be honest. I thought that game was gonna be easy at that point. Then they gave up the big play to Golden Tate, which it was that close. That was just a good throw good defense being beaten by a better throw. I mean, Daniel Jones just laid it on a dime for Golden Tate, and then then they give up the fumble, which is like, why are we having a tight end block? Was it Marquise Golden or Marcus Golden? Sorry, why are you having a tight end block a linebacker? Like it's not Gronk blocking. I'll just stop there because it's going to keep going. But I think ultimately the defense is going to be able to carry this offense until this offense gets healthy. Because like you said, Brady either needs to start trusting the rookie wide receiver, especially Jacoby Myers. He needs to start trusting anyone, really. I'll just anyone but Edelman. Edelman needs to start making the easy catches. He can make the tough catch, like that 15-yard crossing route, going down catching it all day. But then he messes up on the screen pass.
Still not 100%.
Which it wouldn't surprise me at all, because that injury sounded like it was not the greatest. But I think ultimately it's going to be another tough game for the Patriots offense to move it consistently, because especially with if they have like Quinnen Williams playing and getting that pressure out the middle, which is, we all know that's what gives Brady trouble, that could potentially lead to possibility turnovers, incompletions, 3 and outs, having to punt the ball. But I just think, even though Sam Darnold did look nice, I don't think he's still at like 100% now, and facing a defense that is one of the better ones in the league. And ultimately the Pats do win this game by 11.
So we're gonna talk a little bit more baseball. We'll talk about the NLCS, and we got a team heading to the World Series, and that is the Washington Nationals, who swept the Arizona Cardinals, and their pitching was outstanding. Sanchez, Strasburg, Scherzer, and then Corbin was decent last night. He wasn't great, but their starting pitching has been outstanding. Even their bullpen has improved. I mean, their bullpen pitched 4 shutout innings last night, so the bullpen that was a major weakness at the beginning of the year is not as much of a weakness now, and their offense has been really good too. I mean, Anthony Rendon, he should be. I think he should be the MVP in the NL. I mean, he's had an outstanding season. Juan Soto's came up with some. He didn't have a great NLCS, but he's came up with some big hits for this team. And for the first time in franchise history, this was the team game that couldn't get over the hump. We remember 2012 leading in they couldn't get over the hump in the division series. 2012 leading in the ninth inning against the Cardinals, they lose that series. 2014 they lose to the Giants in 4 games. 2016 they get to a game 5 against the Dodgers, they lose that in 5. 2017 they get to a game 5 against the Cubs, they lose that in 5. Last year they don't make the playoffs, they lose Bryce Harper, and then this year they start 19-31, but they were the best team in baseball the last 4 months of the season, and they are now going to the World Series. And congrats to the Nationals and their fans. And it's going to be a tall order whoever they face, the Yankees or Astros, but it's been a great season for the Nationals this year.
Oh, it totally has been. And yeah, when they started at 19-31, the people were like, "Oh, the wheels are coming off. Who are we trading?" Is Scherzer and Strasburg both going to be traded? Are they going to be gone by July 31st? Then
yeah, I remember you kept hearing all the hype about the Yankees go after Scherzer.
Yeah, and good thing the Nationals did not trade anybody, and they let it play out, and it's been an unbelievable second half. They won 9 straight. They actually, at the end of the September, to get in the playoffs, get the home field advantage and wild card, take advantage of that. And then their bullpen, until last night, they retired 17 straight batters in that series in the NLCS. So their bullpen really stepped up. And Anibal Sanchez and who was the game 2 shot? Scherzer, they had no hitters. Sanchez had one going into the 7th inning. Strasburg had one going in the 5th or 6th. They just dominated the Cardinals line. The Cardinals were 11-91 going in to the game last night. They got to Corbin in the 5th, but the first 4 innings they did nothing. They trailed, and the Nats jumped on them early too, scoring the 7 runs, which was huge. And then Howie Kendrick went in MVP for a guy who didn't even play last night, but he did have a big impact. 4 RBIs. I think he had 4 or 5 RBIs, 4 doubles. He played well in the few games he played. And then, of course, going back to the NLDS where he had the grand slam to really cap that thing off. But, yeah, congrats to the Nationals. It's about time. And, and I think I did hear today, too, it's Bryce Harper's birthday today.
Ain't that ironic?
Yeah.
How mad is Bryce Harper right now?
I don't know.
He has to be beyond salt. I mean, he's counting his millions, wiping his tears with hundreds, but... If your Nationals think their bullpen, I believe, had the worst ERA in the regular season. Their bullpen reminds me of the Boston Red Sox bullpen last year.
I mean, the Red Sox bullpen was better last year.
Yeah, but just to the level of a bad bullpen. I mean, actually not to the level, but a bad bullpen that in the postseason just pitched good. I mean, they got hot somehow. They did it, but for the Nationals, if you have Strasburg pitching amazing, which you could almost put money on that every time. You can put money on Scherzer pitching good every time. Corbin's been a little hit or miss, but he has the potential to pitch amazing. So you have 2 amazing pitchers, potential for a third, and then Anibal Sanchez gives you that. How? How do you beat it?
And even when whoever the Nationals face, and especially if it's the Astros, those pitching matchups of Strasburg versus...
We're going to probably see 1-0 for 4 or 7 games, probably.
Possibly could. Some of these pitching matchups, if it's the Astros, are going to be unbelievable. It's going to be so fun to watch, but yeah, man, it was a...
Yeah. I mean, the problem I'll say about the Cardinals is it felt like they were content making it to the NLCS. They felt like after they beat them, they beat the Braves, they just stomped them in that game 5, and they saw what Anibal Sanchez did to them. They're like, we're good, and they just it felt like they almost, I want to say quit because I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it just felt like they were fine making it to NLCS. It's like, we overperformed this season. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
So now we look at what matchup would be better for the Nationals, the Yankees or the Astros, and I think it's definitely the Yankees because the Yankees don't have as good a starting pitching, and because that's where the Nationals have the edge. If you look at the Astros, they really don't have the edge, and I mean, if the starting pitching is close, really close. I mean, you might give the Nationals a slight edge. They don't have a huge edge in starting pitching. Bullpen is definitely the Astros, and then lineup's definitely the Astros. If you look at if they play the Yankees in the World Series, they definitely have the edge in the rotation.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why the Yankees would be the better matchup for the Nationals.
Yeah, it definitely would be. I mentioned it a few seconds ago, but them versus the Astros in that rotation, which would be unbelievably so fun to watch, unless you love these new juice balls, 10-9 games. But yeah, because I think the Cole and Verlander are both great pitchers, and if they're shutting them down now, if you're the Yankees, you haven't seen a guy like Scherzer or Strasburg. You don't see them very often. So if they're shutting Verlander or Cole, you can't do anything against. You ain't doing anything against Scherzer or Strasburg. So, and the Nationals lineup, it's not bad at all. I'm like, if Soto can hit like he did in the wild card game, and he did against the Dot, and he showed a little bit at the Dodgers, but if he can get it going, he could be a huge impact. Anthony Rendon, so their lineup's not terrible, but I think you'd have to give the edge of that to the Yankees or Astros. But their lineup, I think, if they all come together, definitely could give a Yankees Astros lineup run for the money.
Yeah, I definitely think the Yankees would be the better. Is a team that the Nationals will want to face, because I think the Astros have better hitting. The Astros I think the pitching is close, but I can give the slight lead to the Astros. And then I think the fact of that the bullpen ultimately would be the difference. I think against the Astros, if the Nationals were to face the Astros, I think the Astros would be able to win it, I would say, in 6. If they happen to face the Yankees, I could see the Nationals winning it. I could see Yankees winning, but I think either way it would go 7. But if you're the Nationals right now, you're just hoping this series the series going long is a double-edged sword, because it's going to put more wear and tear on the starting pitching, the hitting, the bullpen for each, the Astros and Yankees. But at the same point, that team is just red hot right now, and having 10 days off, I believe it could be.
Yeah.
You could potentially get cold, and then especially a team like, let's say they face the Astros. If you're cold and you come out in that first game and you're flat, and you end up losing that game, that could set you behind the 8 ball, and that losing that one game in particular against the Astros, that could lose you the series.
Oh yeah, because now Scherzer and Strasburg, they're gonna be all rested up. You're probably gonna see that 1-2. It's probably it could either be Strasburg or Scherzer going game 1, and not both of those are not an easy task.
Yeah, and you can do simulated games all you want, but there's nothing like live pitching, live batting, the crowd, the energy, the pressure, the playoffs. You can't do how are you going to simulate that out? At your practice field. What are you going to play something like just some noise and all that? There's no way to replicate that at all. So I feel like that's a potential where they almost won it too soon against the Cardinals. But you obviously got to take it. It's a World Series. You can get there when you can. But I think the Astros would be the tougher matchup easily for the Nationals.
We'll wrap up the show talking college football. We'll start with an interesting SEC matchup. We got one team coming off a loss last week, one team coming off a big win, and Justin kind of knows the game I'm probably talking about. Florida heads to Columbia to face South Carolina, and I think this is a really close competitive game, but I think Florida wins it close.
I do think Florida bounces back. I think Will Muschamp, too, he was on the hot seat. He just saved his job, and now Gamecock fans are loving Will Muschamp this week. Just an impressive performance. Especially they lost their starting QB, Ryan Helinski. I don't know if he's going to be back. It sounds like he will play. This Florida defense, I know they gave it 42 last week to LSU, but that is not a normal LSU offense. That offense is explosive. They're finally taking advantage of the great wide receivers that they have had there over the years.
Actually having something called a quarterback.
That too. That helps too. But at Florida, Kyle Trask, I'm very impressed the way he went out there and played. And I think normally I would say South Carolina, after a week like this, after last week going to Georgia and winning, that they're not gonna play 100%, whatever. But now that you got another rivalry game in Florida coming up, so I think they are gonna play hard. I think defensively they could hang in there, but I just think Florida coming off that loss, I think you're gonna get a pretty angry Florida team coming to Columbia, South Carolina. I think Florida does bounce back and get the win.
Yeah, I think Florida's going to win the game for kind of the reasons that you said. Florida's going to feel like the defensive wise, they're just going to be like, we gave up 42. We need to show, they get embarrassed. We need to show what we're made of. And then South Carolina's going to be coming off of a high of beating Georgia, which I didn't anticipate that happening, especially the way they did it. Only giving up 17 points. I mean, it went to double overtime and only gave up 17 points. So I think Florida's going to be mad that they lost, and especially in the fashion they lost, and South Carolina's coming off of a high, and they're going to have a little bit of a letdown, and now Florida will pull away late in the game. Yeah,
and I got to mention too, Florida, both their defensive ends are questionable, and they're both right now, I think like second and third in their sacks. So they're both questionable. So that could be a huge advantage for South Carolina that they cannot go Saturday.
We got a matchup in the Pac-12. Big Saturday in the Pac-12. First really good matchup is Oregon and Washington. And I think Washington wins this game at home. I think Justin Herbert's had a pretty good year, but I think Washington's defense is going to be too much for Oregon. I think Washington wins this game.
Yeah, Oregon. Do you know how many points they're giving up right now? Only 8 a game. The Oregon Ducks are defense first this year, which I never thought I'd be talking about this.
Yeah, that's like the opposite of when I always thought of Oregon football. Yeah, it was just explosive offense and like kind of like a college version of the Chiefs.
Yeah, and usually it is, but not this year. And it's not like, oh well, you know, I'm like pretty much for most of that Auburn game, they held Auburn and then they put up 3 touchdowns in the second half. Auburn. This Ducks team, I think they pull this one out. A rivalry game. Jacob Eason has not been great against big competition. Against Cal and Stanford, he struggled, and I think Oregon's going to do enough. They pressure him again. The only thing is Justin Herbert did lose he lost a starting tight end. That's like their second or third, or they're already missing 2 other wide receivers. So they are a little banged up in that department, but this is going to be a very defensive oriented game. I think the Ducks do pull this one out 24-20. And Justin Herbert right now, 17 touchdowns to 1 interception. I know, you look at Burrow and Tua and all that, but he's kind of had a quiet year for a guy that was kind of, the hype was up there for him coming back. He's played pretty well with missing some wide receivers.
Yeah, I have Oregon winning this as well. I think it's just, if we're just looking at like stats wise, they have a slightly better offense. It's only by, they're only gaining about slightly under 40 more yards. But defensive wise, they're giving up almost 100 yards less. And like you said, only giving up 8 points by an Oregon defense. Maybe they actually found a formula to success. Maybe. So let's see how far that can push them, because so far the last 5 games they've given up 3 points, 7 points, 6 points, 3 points, 6 points. Take the level of competition for what it is, but still, that is impressive to do that for that long. Most you've given up is a touchdown in the past 5 games. But if you're watching with you're 5-2 right now. If you have any hope of competing, you need to show up. And Jacob Eason, people have been mentioning his name more and more. I feel like in terms of top quarterbacks. And like I said, somehow Justin Herbert has slid underneath it, which I don't understand, because it was all the hype in the world. And then they lost to Auburn. It seems like that hype just went away. But he's still having 17 touchdowns, 1 interception. What's bad about that?
There's nothing real bad.
Yeah, I don't get that.
The problem is the late night games and
yeah, true. We start at 10 o'clock?
10 usually, or they're on the Pac-12 network.
Yeah, and then if it goes in overtime, it's 2 a.m. by the time the game's finished. But yeah, I think ultimately that Oregon offense is going to be put up enough, and that defense I think is ultimately going to shut down Washington come second half.
We got the big game, in-state college game day. We'll be there this weekend. You got Michigan heading to Penn State, and I think Jim Harbaugh needs this win to save his job, because if he loses this game, he's probably going to lose his job. And he's had his way with James Franklin though over in the past. He's 3-1 against James Franklin. The one loss was that Saquon Barkley game, and really the last 3 years this game has kind of been a blowout. Michigan blew them out in 2016, Penn State blew them out in 2017, and Michigan blew them out in 2018. James Franklin has really struggled against. The problem with James Franklin is he's really struggled against Michigan and Ohio State. He's a combined 2-8 against Michigan and Ohio State in his 5 years at Penn State. He's 1-4 against Michigan. One of those was the Brady Hulk too in his first year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's really struggled against Michigan and Ohio State. But and I think this is going to be a really close game, because Penn State's got a really good defense. Micah Parsons, one of the best linebackers in the country, had a really good pass rush. Noah Cain has really stepped into that role replacing Miles Sanders. Had a big week last week. KJ Hamler had a really good game too, and they do have a young quarterback in Sean Clifford. But I think with their defense and being at home, being in state college, I think this is going to be enough to win another really low scoring game. And I'm going to go Penn State here, and I'm going to go Penn State to remain undefeated, winning this game 23-17 over Michigan, and they'll be calling for Jim Harbaugh's job in Ann Arbor after this game.
Yeah, well, I got Penn State win this one 24-13, and I know it's a whiteout game. Have you ever gone to one of those?
Yeah, I've been to a couple whiteout games. Yeah, they're good. The atmosphere is going to be crazy on Saturday night.
Oh yeah, they don't. It seems like they don't lose those. And James Franklin is 8-0 in his last 8 games on a Saturday night at Penn State, so I think they'll do it again. And Michigan, if they lose this week, you go to Ann Arbor next week. Notre Dame comes to Ann Arbor next week. Then you got Maryland on the road, Michigan State at home, Indiana, Ohio State to finish off. There's probably only 2 wins there. So you could be looking at maybe 7-5, maybe, depending on what Michigan State, how Michigan State goes. Jim Harbaugh, they win this game. Jim Harbaugh can breathe a sigh of relief for another week. They lose this game, and oh boy, he's in some trouble. But Penn State's defense, I just think, is going to slow down Shea Patterson. He has not been. There's a lot of hype for him coming up from Ole Miss, and I thought there was too. I thought he was finally the quarterback Jim Harbaugh needed and wanted, and he really hasn't lived to that potential. Michigan cannot run the ball. They haven't. I don't remember the last time they've had a good running back. I think Penn State slows them down. I think they force a couple of turnovers. I think Penn State wins 24-13.
And where's this exciting offense that Michigan was talking about? Like, weren't they supposed to show some exciting offense? And it's apparently, I haven't seen it yet, but I think Penn State think isn't going to win because Michigan is desperate for victory, especially Harbaugh. He's desperate. He needs it bad. And Patterson only he seemed like when he went to Michigan, he had the hype of trying to be one of those amazing quarterbacks that was going to go high in the draft. I mean, right now, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, that's solid, but it's not what this offense was predicted to do. They're supposed to be a more explosive offense. He hasn't done that much. Penn State's rolling right now, 42 points scoring, 8 given up. How are you going to stop? Even though Michigan's getting 156 rushing yards per game, Penn State's given up 54. Good luck. And Penn State has almost getting 200 rushing yards per game. Michigan's giving up 122. I just don't see a way that they're going to stop. I honestly think it's going to be one of those things where they're going to hold on for the first half. It's going to be close. Harbaugh's going to have, hope that, okay, we just, get a couple scores, we'll be good. But I think second half, Penn State, I think is going to blow them out. I could see a 3-score game. The second half is going to get ugly. And if it gets that ugly, or good luck.
And the other thing too, when you're talking about Shea Patterson, is he cannot hold on to a ball. I don't know what it is, but he's lost 4 or 5 fumbles this year. If Penn State can get after him too, and
maybe it's the hand size thing that people were on Jared Goff about.
I don't know, but he's lost 4 or 5 balls. If Penn State can get some pressure on him, just strip sack him too, I think they're going to get turnovers on him. Michigan not great to hold on to the football, so.
Yeah, they need this is the last chance. All right, if he doesn't, like you said, the rest of that schedule is brutal. Yeah, good luck making that out after this season.
That's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with RKJ. For my co-host Justin D'Onofrio and Kyle Galuli, I'm Steve Risser, and we also want to thank everybody who was watching on Facebook Live today. We definitely want to thank them for that. And we'll be back next week talking the World Series, Week 8 of the NFL, and Week 9 of the college football season. Have a great weekend, everybody.